Good morning, friends. It's Pablo42, looking for the answers to life, the universe, and everything related to Web3. Since a year or something, I want to read about Casper, which is the consensus for ETH 2.0, as far as I heard, and finally I got some time to do it. I realized in the previous videos it takes very long to explain all this stuff, so today we try to do a speed session where we just put in as much information as possible. So let's go. We have Casper, and to my surprise there is not one Casper but there are two. And there is the first one, Casper FFG, the friendly finality gadget, and then there is the other Casper CBC, correct by construction. And those two were researched by different guys mainly. So FFG was mainly researched by Vitalik Butterbrot, while CBC is mainly the work of Samfir. I hope that's correct. We look at those two resources, both written by Vitalik Butterbrot, but yeah, they're all quite dated, 2018 this one, and this is I think also from 2018 or 19 something. But yeah, they were just the best ones I found, and all these blog articles, they all copied from each other, and there was no point in reading them. So also for you to know, FFG will be included in the first or in the next stage, in the first POS stage of the Serenity update of ETH 2.0. And CBC will not. So CBC will maybe be implemented later on in 1 year, 2 years. I'm not exactly sure how they want to do it. But for now, it will be FFG. And what it will do exactly in ETH 2.0 is also very interesting. We'll come to that. So let's start understanding CBC. And then we will go to FFG. Because, well, it's the more important thing for the near future. And I hope you stay longer in the video because it's the more important thing. Let's see. This is correct by construction, and it is using a neat fork choice rule, which we will see later, but we will just focus our attention on the concrete case, a simple chain structure, which will work like this. We will have staking nodes, so yeah, nodes that have to deposit money in order to participate, producing blocks. And we break up the time in 10-second slots or whatever time slots. And the validator K can create a block in slot K, N plus K, 2N plus K. So each time it's his round, he can validate. So if there are 5 validators and he's the first one, he can create the first block, then he has to wait the other 4, and then he can create the 6th one again, and then the 11th one, and so on. So this is what we have. And each block points to one specific parent block. We have it here. This points to this one. This points to that one. And then we can actually start with just the longest chain rule and say, oh, this is done. And this is exactly what we do here. So each validator, this would be validator at time slot 1, time slot 2, time slot 3, time slot 4, time slot 5. So you see each time it's a little bit more to the right. It's another time slot. And the number on the blocks always represent how long the chain is at this certain block. So here it's 1, has the length of 1, here 2, here it's 3 as well. So you see both of them here are 3 blocks long, not because this is farther away, it's not longer or something. This one is here 4. All these 3 blocks over here, there are 5 blocks. Even the blockchain they point to is all 5 blocks long, even though the time slots it can be later on. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 time slot over here, but it's chain length 5. So what we want to do is add some attribute of finality, some notion of finality, and we will do this using the LMD ghost fork choice rule, which is the latest message-driven ghost. I'm not sure what ghost means in this, but probably another great abbreviation. And We for this example, we again assume that we use a validator set of 5. We call them A, B, C, D, E. And what I will do now with you is to just walk through exactly how Casper CBC is choosing which block is final or which block is the correct one. And we will just walk through it example by example as fast as possible, as we said. So let's go. We have A, B, C, D, E. And the A makes the blocks, as explained, slots 0 and 5. Validator B at slots 1 and 6. So it's always A first, B second, C, D, E, starts again with A, B, C, and so on. What do we hear here? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so what we will do now is we will only use the latest messages, the latest blocks by each validator. And we can see here what are the latest blocks. So this one here is latest blocks D. Yeah, later on there is no other block D. This here is latest block A. Later on there is no other block A. Here this is for C. Here is B, C, and E. This, for example, is not the latest one by C, because here is another one, which is the latest one, and they're all in blue. And what LMD Ghost fork choice rule says, which fork is the correct one? It says the block which has the most... okay, let's just read it. Very bad to rephrase it. We started the Genesis block, then each time there is a fork, choose the side where more of the latest messages support that block's subtree. It is more of the latest messages support either that block or one of its descendants. And keep going until you reach a block with no children. So what we do here is we say the latest block here by D, this has only one validation, which is like by itself, right? There is only one. Over here you can see it has 5, so all 5 validators said this is the correct fork, because all others, the correct chain, later on the canonical chain, is going out from this block. Here it only has 4, because the one over here is not yet attestating this is the correct block. Same one here. Then here we have 2 times, again, only a single validator says this is the correct fork. Here we have it again 2, because it's this one and that one. And at the end we only have 1 again. So basically we just have to look how many of the latest messages are saying this fork is the correct one. Let's check it out again here. 4 of the latest messages. So 4 of the latest messages of validators say that this is the correct fork. This one, this one, this one, and this one. That's why it has the weight 4. And what we have to do is we just take the one, always the fork with the most latest messages. And this is it. This is the fork choice rule. And this will very often give the same results as using the longest chain result. Like we just say here, okay, this is the longest chain, they choose this and this one, so this one could either choose that or that one, but choose that one, and now everybody has to choose this one because it's the longest fork and so on. But sometimes LMD Ghost has different outcomes, as we see here. Here we have a tree of forks. We start here again, this is the Genesis. And now we have in the top how the longest chain rule would say which one is the correct chain. It would say the uppermost, because it has, well, here in total 6 blocks and on the bottom only 5. This is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the length of the blockchain. And down here we have how LMD Ghost would say which one is the right one. So it says here all 5 validators attest. I'm not sure if attestation is the correct word for this, but they say this is the correct one. Here also 5. Here only 2 say it, so those one at the end. And at the bottom here 3, and then again 1, 1, 1. And what can happen now, the next one who produces a block can actually choose between this one, this one, this one, or that one, because they're all valid blocks in the sense of the fork choice rule. And the good thing about this is that it's, here we have it, better at extracting information in conditions of high latency. So even though they're, if two validators create two blocks with the same parent, they should really be both counted as cooperating votes for the parent block and not as competing blocks, which is, NMD Ghost catching. So this is the basic of CBC Casper, and we already got it. Awesome, no? How many minutes are we in? 5, 10? I'm not sure. The finality, we just say if for multiple rounds validators said this is the correct chain, this is the correct fork, then we can say it's final, right? So if a subset, basically we can say this with some safety oracles. We have here if 2/3, I think is somewhere written, if 2/3 always of the validators say this block is the same, and the next time again, we can assume that it will stay the same. It will stay the final block unless more than half of all the validators move to the other fork. And if that happens, then this is a violation of the rules and they get slashed. So this should not happen. Then we can also use it for actually for the beacon chain itself. In the sharding video we learned about the beacon chain, guys. And I guess it works like this, that these are all the shards and here are the beacon chain, and it has to make this attestation, and they use some uncles, we don't, in POV it's uncle, here it's something different. It's not that important. Here we just have also that in high latency, when the nodes don't have all the blocks yet that are actually broadcasted, it might happen that there are multiple forks, but once the network settles down again, then it's very typically you just have one chain where everybody's agreeing this is the correct one. Okay, so now we have CBC. Awesome, let's take a drink. Cheers. And now we go to FFG, the friendly finality gadget, which will be implemented sooner than CBC. All right, let's start. What did our boy write here? It's the FFG is also BFD. And I would say we just jump into the first wonderful picture. And FFG, I don't know why they chose such similar name, like really, Casper FFG, CBC, when I googled it, I always found the other one what I needed. It was horrible. Guys, why not Casper and Boo Boo or something? That would be useful. Okay, FFG. What this is for reaching consensus. Doesn't matter what the underlying, protocol creation mechanism is. So this can be, for example, as spoiler will be done in ETH 2.0, can be put on top of proof of work. And maybe let's just start actually with exactly this, how it will be done in Ethereum 2.0, because then it's easy to understand. So, okay, now comes the joke. Ethereum 2.0, as far as I understood it now, while I read all this stuff, will not be a true POS chain, but there will still be proof of work, and only every 50 or every 100 blocks, they use Casper FFG to finalize this block, and then you cannot basically revert 50 blocks in the past. And this is it. It's not a true proof of stake chain. It's just this little bit proof of stake. I'm not sure if I got it right, because this sounds so strange, but I mean, do your own research. No, let's do it together. So how does this consensus every 50 or every 100 or whatever blocks look like? Every 50 blocks, there is a so-called checkpoint. We have here our checkpoint tree. And this checkpoint, on these checkpoints, the validators can vote which link, since the last they say, okay, we have now a checkpoint, and then we had a checkpoint 50 blocks before. Which link between those is the correct one? I didn't find another word for link, but here we have, for example, we have the root. This is always finalized. Then we have here checkpoint 1. This is the height 1, by the way. This is height 2. This is height 3, height 4, height 5 checkpoint tree height, and here at height 1 we have only one fork, one link, and then here some of the validators say this is the correct link, so we go from this checkpoint to that checkpoint. Others say from here to here, others from here to here. So it's also like when a fork happens, some say okay, this is now the correct fork, and others say this is the correct fork. But how does FFG use it? The dashed line represents 99 blocks. Seems like okay, they want to use, at least in the paper they wanted to use each 100 blocks. There is a time, there is a checkpoint. And now we have the notion of justified chain and finalized chain, or justified link and finalized link. Just to say again, each time there comes a new checkpoint, the validator, or I'm not sure if they actually do it each checkpoint, but at least every few checkpoints, they vote, okay, we have the starting checkpoint S and the target checkpoint T, and the correct link is this one. And they vote, and if 2/3 supermajority of the votes are for a certain link, this link is called justified or finalized. So if it's the parent, it's here we have in the picture, I have to explain, the pink or the red color checkpoints are the justified, are the ones that have a supermajority vote. These are the ones with a supermajority vote. And if one of the votes is a parent, it's called finalized. And if it's a child, if it's at the end, if it doesn't have yet another child, but it has a supermajority vote, it's called justified. So we have those two things. Justified is soon to be finalized. So the next time there's a supermajority vote on this justified block, it's finalized. So you see we have finalization here, which is in a proof of work chain, cool. I must say, even if it's only every 100 blocks, it's cool. And yeah, this is also what we basically did it. So this is FFG. Now we have some rules. If we have our great rules by Vitalik, yeah, you cannot publish 2 votes for the same target height. So you cannot vote on this one from here to here and from here to here. And you cannot vote in the span of the other votes. So I guess if you voted from here to here, you cannot vote. You cannot vote in between something like from here to here or something. I'm not 100% sure, but that sounds about right. Then we have a fork choice rule, which is basically always take the latest supermajority vote, I think, right? They have a fork choice rule. Follow the chain containing the justified checkpoint of the greatest height. Easy, no? Wonderful. And then we also have, okay, so basically this is we have it already. These are the basics of FFG. Yeah, you always we have checkpoints every few blocks. In Ethereum 2.0, you can also make it every block or whatever, what you have the underlying, chain block proposal mechanism is, and then you vote which are the correct links, and then if there is a supermajority, it becomes finalized at some point, and you can say, oh, awesome, this is the true canonical chain. I don't have to worry that there will be another chain which becomes much longer tomorrow. And now there is we have dynamic validator sets, so you can of course change it, and in order that it doesn't happen that there is one link of one set of validators, then they leave and all the new validators vote on something different. They have something called dynasty. They just call it everybody who votes on a block. And yeah, when you want to join, you have to deposit something. When you want to leave, you have to withdrawal period, which is actually, this is important. How long is withdrawal period? Approximately 4 months in this paper from some time ago. So you have to wait some time until you get your deposit back. And you have the forward and the rear validator set, which is, yeah, they have some so-called stitching mechanism. You have to make sure that both the rear validator set, so the one that comes to the new block and is already validating, and the new set which is starting now and will pick off where the other one left, that both of them vote for the same links, otherwise, yeah, there would be some issue. We don't have to understand it too much. What is very cool is just the last two things, which is one attack. It's the long range revision, and yeah, we can just read this thing here because it exactly explains what we need. Once a coalition of validators has withdrawn their deposits, if that coalition had more than 2/3 of deposits long ago in the past, they can use their historical supermajority to finalize conflicting checkpoints without fear of getting slashed, because they have already withdrawn their money. This is called the long revision attack. Okay, so there is a link, a supermajority link. You and your boys, you made a supermajority link, and then you withdraw, you ended your money, and now you can make a new checkpoint. You can basically make with your boys a new checkpoint which is conflicting to the one that was already finalized. And because you normally cannot vote on two links to the same height, but here you can suddenly, because it doesn't matter, you don't get slashed. Yeah, so this is really cool. But this is just a very easy solution. Basically, each, let's say, 1 or 2 months, every validator has to, and I forgot, this can only happen because maybe some of the validators didn't see the old blocks and they think, oh, there are now two blocks with a lot of votes. Which one should I take? And in order that this cannot happen, each validator has to log on at least 1 or 2 months to get an up-to-date view of the whole blockchain, of all the finalized blocks. And that way it cannot happen that then suddenly somebody comes up with a link which is dated back 4 months ago because, oh no, it was already finalized. So this is how they mitigate these long-range revisions. And the last one is the catastrophic crashes. BFD, of course, always we have to make sure that the 2/3 of the validators are doing their stuff correctly. And if now more than 1/3 of validators crash at the same time, well, you cannot create new blocks anymore, right? Where's the supermajority? And we can recover from this, yes, by putting in place an inactivity leak, which slowly drains the deposit of any validator that doesn't vote for checkpoints. Okay, so those more than 1/3, let's say more than 1/2, go offline. They don't come back anymore, and then slowly you take away a little bit of their deposit. And something which I forgot to mention, I realized because we're so fast today, is that that these votes, the supermajority, is not how many votes there are, but the relative deposits which voted. So if there are 2 voters which have, let's say, more than 2/3 of all deposits, then if just those 2 voters vote, it will be a supermajority link. And if 100 others with much less deposit vote, it doesn't help. So just to explain this. And now let's say those 2 validators, they go offline, and shit, what happens? Slowly the system is taking away their deposits. Well, for POS, proof of stake, you have to stake something. And this happens until the active group has more deposits than the offline group and can finalize against something, which is then the supermajority. So this is how they recover from these so-called catastrophic crashes, in case China bans something, and then everybody has to move to Kazakhstan for this week. You have to have some fix, and they have it. Yes, that's it, guys. That's FFG from consensus side and CBC. They are a little bit different, and the thing is that FFG is easier to implement. That's why also they do it now, I guess, but in the future it might be replaced by CBC, and I hope it's going to work out as they imagine it, that the miners will mine away and then the proof of stakers will vote for the right block. I hope you have now an idea I definitely have. I know what's going on in the next meetup. What is Casper? It's not the... I mean, proof of work is also genius, but simple, right? So this is also, until you come up with it, it's very difficult. Once you came up with it, and you only have to understand it much easier. I hope you got it. I wish you a good night, guys. See ya.